So now we have Uranus for the placement of an Aquarius. Again, the Pisces could be looking forward long term and thinking about this is coming in a couple of years, but Aquarius have been living it. And this has been, I think, a little bit of an unkind one. Uranus in the third house does create some very strong upsets in people's lives. It definitely creates a sense of endings, and oftentimes things that end abruptly. I hinted at the second house, and maybe there was things that have ended, but this is like, oh, they've ended. You know, and it's a little harsh, a little hard to process it logistically. So the number one thing we see, first of all, is the daily living gets chaotic. Oftentimes that's related to cars and transportation. We all know what it's like when we don't have reliable transportation, or the battery keeps dying, or the garage door doesn't go up so I can't get my car out in the morning, to now I have to run across town to pick up my brother-in-law because his car isn't running. You understand, well, I say it's information overload. Too many people's lives being like, you know, you have a plan for the day and all of a sudden it's being bulleted by all these other people's irregular happenings that are occurring. So it does bring about some very unusual relationships with oftentimes cousins and siblings, neighbors, in-laws, people around you. You know, neighbors running over saying, can you give me a ride to work? So that's sounds very mundane, but if you've been through that, it's very, you know, a lot of last minute things, breaking, changing, unless you have a certain mindset. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, you're very excited about it. Many times people are in the process of trying to learn a new skill under this influence. They feel like they need to learn something, immerse themselves, and quickly pick up a talent or a trade, or they need to prove themselves, their licensing, they need to go down, let's say, the business license office and wrangle with them about a certain classification or a certain type of licensing that they want to qualify for. So anyhow, it's a very strong influence there. And I want you to think about this bottom part. The good part, I think, is teaching, training, speaking, and writing. This ability to now have opportunity that people want you to speak. They want you to talk. They want you to write the column. They want you to show up and serve on the panel. So we have that liberation side going on. But that last bullet, seeing the dark side of money, seeing the dark side of the politics, the legal. And these are generally things that you're a little unspeakable, meaning you don't want to say why you're doing the research. You know, you're hoping no one's spying on you and checking what you're Googling these days when you're trying to figure out what are the ramifications are, what are the jail sentences for doing such and such. When you're starting to look at these things because you're fearful certain things could be happening, and again, I'm not saying they're happening all to you. They could be happening to a cousin, a sibling, and you're starting to worry, get concerned. Do I have any liability? Could I get drug into this? Do people sue people for this? You start talking about these darker topics as well. And a lot of it is just confidential matters that just most people aren't going to openly chat about. But chaos in daily living, it's exhausting. Congratulations. You already through 4.5 years of it. You've got 2 years left of it. It makes you limp like a noodle. That is the whole thing. It makes you really flexible, adaptable. It breaks expectations. It's when, you know, we'll get there when we get there. What we used to tell kids in the back seat, you know, when we had that attitude, we'll get there when we get there, because we don't know what's going to come across our path in the meantime.